Welcome to Ripple Impact. Our guest today is an active volunteer, entrepreneur, avid Toastmaster, and the founder of First Choice Facilitation. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I am so excited to introduce Penny Nelson. Penny is an active community volunteer, an entrepreneur with her company First Choice Facilitation, based in Saskatoon area. She is an avid Toastmaster enthusiast and is an executive member with WE Toastmasters and spearheaded District 99's First Education and Development Program for 3 years. Penny is a distinguished Toastmaster and enjoys the networking and leadership challenges Toastmasters provides her, which continues to increase the 4 big C's in her life, which are capacity, competency, communication, and confidence. Penny Nelson created First Choice Facilitation after a fruitful career as a college instructor for 5 years. Penny's extensive education and experience includes a Master of Education in Curriculum Studies and Adult Education, a Business Administration Diploma, Office Administration Certificate, and is a journey person cook. If you happen to need a meal or two, Penny has owned 2 retail businesses, Penny's Baking Company and a home-based business selling air and water purification systems. For the past year, Penny has been focusing on ramping up her social media skills with her weekly YouTube channel, building connections, and publishing value-added tips and tricks in teamwork, education, and professional development. One of Penny's greatest passion is making learning fun and interactive. She starts with understanding your goals and collaborating to find solutions that fit your needs. Penny, you are welcome to Ripple Impact.
Thank you so much for having me, Abraham. I'm excited about today.
I'm looking forward to getting to get value, which I know you're going to be providing today. So can you tell us a bit about your career transition from being a college instructor to owning your own facilitation company? How did you go about this?
It is quite the story, probably similar to a lot of people's stories, in that here I finally got to a college and I did my education degree, and I was so excited to be with those new students in my world, and I was really enjoying it. And then I took a course, I think it was like a assertiveness or some sort of course that I took through another program. And I saw this lady, and she was the instructor, and she was like kind of casually leaning on the table where we were like taking the course. And I went, I could do that. I want to be just like her. And that kind of is where it started. That was maybe the first or second year into working at the college. And I always thought, okay, in the back of my mind, someday I'm going to become a consultant. I know where I want to go. But someday, it was kind of years later and nothing was really happening. And then because the college is a provincial college, my program actually got cut. It was reduced in hours and certainly wasn't enough hours to make a living. And then I went, I'm ready. I got to do this. And I'm being pushed off the edge into doing this. And I started my own company, First Choice Facilitation. I actually took an entrepreneur class in Saskatoon that was a 9-month program from Praxis Entrepreneurship School. And they really helped me make a whole business plan and the works, the marketing plan and the research and everything just really helped me set up my business. And that was in 2018.
Wow, 2018. So first choice facilitation is actually a child of necessity, so to say.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
well, I know I have been fortunate to be in one of your classes where you facilitated about adult facilitation methods, and I know what you're capable of doing based on the training that I attended, with you. So it would be a disservice for you not to have gone into what you are into right now. If you hadn't done that, then I would say you're doing a disservice to yourself and to the society because you have so much to offer in terms of value. So I am glad that you are able to take your dream to the next level and you're actually doing great works right now. So can you tell us a little bit about facilitation? Because I know a lot of people get confused when you talk about facilitation method. People think about some getting confused or mixed up with public speaking, especially when they hear you talk anything about Toastmasters. They want to think about public speaking, but of course, there are two different things. So, can you tell us a little
Absolutely.
bit more about what facilitation is and what makes for an efficient facilitator?
Yeah, it's such a great question, Abraham. And I do agree that a lot of people kind of get it mixed up. They don't know, or maybe it's just the way that traditionally the person in front of you has been the lecturer. And we've seen that in school, we've seen that in our trainings at work. They've been the lecturer just doing like a brain dump onto you. And to be honest, a brain dump, you just don't remember. Do you remember things when someone's just a talking head at you, Abraham?
Maybe sometimes I just wait to get the person finished talking so I can just go to sleep.
Yeah, I think that's true. I was recently in a staff meeting, and I was engaged maybe the first 5 minutes or so, and that was quite long, probably for most people. And then I just checked out. Like half of it didn't pertain to me, or it was over my head, and there was no engagement. I didn't get to speak. It's all one person, maybe two people doing all the talking. That's a lecture to me, and it's not really adding value to my role or to my job. So I know you've been in these meetings. Lots of people have been in these meetings, me too. And what can we do about it? What do you think, Abraham? Looking back, I know you took my course. What's one thing, if I asked you that question, which you just did, what's something you could do?
Well, I think when it comes to facilitation, it has to do with demonstrations and actually doing teaching or teaching people with example, giving practical examples that will drive or reinforce the learning on people, not just reading, the text the way they are, but driving stories, giving practical examples, or doing what we call teamwork, right? Team building sessions, having people come together, practice certain things, do case studies and all of that. I think those could help, when it comes to facilitation. Well, you are the expert.
Good job. Look at you. You remembered very well. I'm going to share my screen and
Okay.
show you why I believe so strongly in what you have just said. So this is the cone of learning. Some of you have probably seen something like this. Abraham, do you see that on your side?
Yes, I can see it.
Perfect. Look at the top, lecture. And this is mostly how we see people teaching. And whether it be in the college or university or at work, we see people doing this lecture, even through meetings. It's a lecture style, it's a brain dump. And can you tell me, Abraham, because you're my person with me here today, how much did we learn by lecture, according to this chart?
Just 5%, probably the least of all.
Yeah. Isn't it brutal? Yeah, it's just really bad how we don't seem to retain that information. We might kind of get a little bit of information that way, but overall we're retaining only 5%. And then as we go down, the reading, the audiovisual, the demonstration is getting better. Demonstration is getting better. And then discussion groups. And Abraham, I know that you touched on saying something about case studies. So this is where case studies could be. So if you had a group of people and you wanted to get their opinion about something, or talk about something, or have some kind of a training, case studies are a fabulous way to do that. And one way that I love to do case studies is when you have a problem or a situation in your organization that you want to solve, make a case study out of it, leave out some of the names, and give that to your staff. And you'll be amazed what they will come up with for solving that problem just by doing a simple little case study. And then we see practice by doing. Practice by doing is 75%. And some of you may know I'm an avid Toastmaster, and that's why Toastmasters is so powerful, because we actually learn by doing. There isn't somebody up there lecturing, oh, this is how you talk, this is how you use body language. No, we have some of those educationals, but at the end of the day, we have to get up here and we have to talk and do it and use hand gestures and then get the feedback from the people who are watching us. True. And that is such a powerful way to learn. So anytime that we can do that within our trainings, within our staff meetings, make them do something, have them start participating, have some of the employees do the leading of different parts of the session. The leader doesn't have to do everything. We can call on some of the people that some of these wonderful employees that you have so much trust in. They have a lot to contribute. So ask them to contribute. And the teaching by teaching through others is like what I just said, actually. Okay. When those folks get up and teach others, they're retaining and learning so much information. Abraham, what do you think about this cone of learning? Does it strike a bell with you?
Actually, it does. It makes me to begin to wonder some of the things that people do out there when they tend to be teaching, rather than impacting. They are doing what you call mind dumping, right? So with this chart, it makes it clear, and I believe or hope that instructors, trainers, facilitators could see this cone and get to understand the level of impact they make on their participants by engaging one of these or a combination of these methods that you have illustrated. I think it's quite an eye-opener. For me, I've just seen that teaching others makes about 90% of learning, which is great, 90%.
Amazing, right?
Amazing.
Yeah, so I often talk about I do consulting. So when I talk to, recently I have, sorry, blah, blah, blah. When I was recently talking to a client, and they were talking about how they just had miscommunication, and maybe people weren't really getting the proper training and they weren't learning the concepts that they wanted them to know about. Well, they were doing a brain dump. Like, how do they expect them to remember? They won't. And if you're okay with your staff not knowing what you're telling them to do, then by all means, continue being a lecturer at your staff meetings and at your trainings. But if you really want your staff or your students to be learning the material that you're telling them, then it better be engaging, and they better be participating, doing discussion. But if you're okay with them not learning the material, then go ahead and waste your day or 2 hours, whatever it is.
Wow. So what's the essence of learning? If anyone should go out there to teach and or organize training for his or her staff and not do it properly, I think it's always good to learn the proper skills and do it properly. Give
exactly.
value, get value for the money you spend. And that's where someone like you comes in, who is a specialist in facilitation.
Mm-hmm. The next slide I'll show you maybe even makes it more clear.
Okay.
Clearer. So here we have the two sides showing the speaker, which we know about speakers. We're speakers as Toastmasters. We're speakers as teachers. But then there's a facilitator on the other side. So let's just start from the very top. What's the purpose of the speaker? The speaker usually is there to inform. So that's the brain dump. Maybe they're there to persuade, and they're there to entertain. And those are three great things. I don't want to say that we don't want to do that. But if you look at the facilitator side, they're actually there to change behavior. So it's kind of turning the tables from it's all about the speaker to actually it's all about the people in the room. It's about them.
Right.
And then the style with the speaker is often one way. They're doing all the talking, you're sitting there listening. But the facilitator, let's look on the other side. What do you see there, Abraham? What does the facilitator do with the style?
I see two-way communication here.
Yeah, two-way communication. And that's what I'm trying to demonstrate even just in this interview. I want to make sure that I'm engaging Abraham too, that I'm not just doing all the talking.
Oh, I see.
There's multiple reasons for doing that is that because Abraham has something to contribute too. And I know that I know that I am an expert, yes, but I don't know everything. And the collective always have more knowledge than just one person. True. So it's a little bit of a shift in thinking. I think the speaker used to think that they were the knowledge keeper and that they had all the information. But a facilitator to me acknowledges that, yes, I have information to share, but so does the participants. And I want to hear from them as well.
Absolutely.
All right. So some of the methods. So under the speaker, I bet you if you're an educator, you know about this. Tell them what you told them, and then tell them what you told them again. So basically 3 layers of telling them. And Abraham, do you want to be told anything?
I think everyone, human, based on our nature, we want to see you do things and we do it back, right? Rather than you just telling us what you want us to do, but in actual sense, you may not be practicing what you're saying. So practice your talk, and we are going to be avid followers of what you are talking about, as long as you put it to practice.
And that makes me think about lead by example. And right. So if you're not leading by example, then they're not going to follow you. End of story. Okay, method. So let's take a look at the side of the facilitator there. So the facilitator determines what people need to know that are in the room. And then we want to fill those gaps in. And then we do that in an engaging way. And so I talk about engaging experiential learning there. So experiential learning is physically doing whatever it is. Okay, so if we have to build a coffee pot, well, I don't know how to build a coffee pot, but maybe we're making one out of clay or something. I actually have to do it. I need to do that. If I want to learn to ride a bike, I actually have to ride the bike. True. Going back to that cone of learning, remember, I could read so much about it. I could be told about it. But at the end of the day, I need to get on the bike and ride.
Correct.
And then the next layer is even to teach someone how to ride a bike. And then I'll be even more of an expert. All right. So that goes into the peer leading. I am very adamant about that. The team is not just the leader. The team is all of these wonderful people that you've hired in your organization, and they can help lead as well. And they want to lead. They want to have purpose. They want to be engaged. They love it. They thrive on it. Everybody wants to be contributing. All right. So let's go into some of the tools. So the speaker often uses humor. That's awesome. They use anecdotes or quotes. They use fabulous vocabulary. But look on the facilitator side. Look at all the strategies. The lecture is part of it. So a lecture is like the speaker. Yeah, lecture is part of it. But role play and exercise, and there's your case studies, reflection time, sitting there journaling about what you learned about or that you did this experience, and then you're going to journal about it. It's so powerful. And then experimenting. Yay! You know how much your kids love to experiment. Recently, I was listening to a podcast where they were talking about kids, just they don't have any brake pads. when they're experiencing life, they don't have brake pads. And then us big adults come along and teach them to have brake pads. Like, they shouldn't have any brake pads, because when we talk about what I mean by brake pads is, oh, no, you better not do that because you might make a mistake. Oh, don't experiment with that because you might make a mistake. But Abraham, how do we learn?
We learn by doing. We actually learn from our mistakes.
Yeah, so that's the one downside of a lot of our school system and our society is that we're taught that we shouldn't make mistakes and that we shouldn't, experiment. And what does that do to us? That really like squishes down the creativity. It squishes down the sticking out the neck and trying things. We really need to do that. And that's where our great leaders or our great inventors have stuck out their neck. They were willing to make mistakes and be okay with making mistakes and not take it personally.
Right.
Because I remember Edison saying something like, well, now I know how not to make a light bulb in 8,000 ways. Like, what do you know? You know nothing. Like you haven't even tried. So it's just amazing.
Nice.
Amazing. Yeah. So that's just some of the things you could use. Of course, visual aids. I'm using a visual aid right now. Demonstration, polls, and games. I think we should do a game right now, actually. So just a simple little game I've got right here. Abraham.
Okay.
Would you rather play at the beach or in the snow?
I would love to play at the beach, but I've got no beach around here. I have snow just close to me right now. I can just stretch my hands and pick snow. So I will play in the snow.
Yeah, good one. Right on. Would you rather be a monkey or a robot?
I would be a robot. Robots these days, you can use them for almost anything, right? Program them to do whatever they want you to do. So
yeah, he can just sort of stand in the corner, and when you need him, you'll, hey, what do I do about this? Or I need help with this.
Yeah,
I could see that. Well, there was an example of just throwing in some fun little game in the middle of it all. And I learned this actually from several different places, but one that was really kind of interesting at the U of S when I was at the University of Saskatchewan, one of the professors would have slides, and he was doing a lot of lecture. And then all of a sudden there would be a slide of a beach or I don't know, just some kind of nature. And he called it a palate cleanser. So there's another little tip that you could use. Just put in a different slide that's totally unrelated. And then it kind of wakes people up and they can refocus again. Like we need these little chunks of learning. And then we need kind of like a little break and then chunks of learning again.
Whoa.
So there's another tip.
Yeah, actually, that makes sense. When people are focused on similar things, they are looking at the same thing, and all of a sudden you throw in something that is unrelated, and they were like, oh, how did that go in there? Was that a mistake or so? You bring back their attention. I like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we've got pictures and games and scavenger hunt in there. Oh yeah, pair share. So in our virtual world now, pair share, normally you would be sitting by someone and you might pair share about a topic or question. Now we just put people into breakout rooms. So everything that I'm teaching and everything you learned, Abraham, in the Facilitation Methods 101 way back 2 years ago, it's no different. I mean, we might use a little bit of different technology, but it's the same. The concepts are the same. The engagement is the same. The chunking of learning and break and learning and break is the same too.
Nice. Wow.
I feel like the very last one there, unless you had anything to add or any questions.
No, you can go ahead.
Okay, so then the last piece there, the evaluation. So when we get claps, when someone does a speech, we go, oh yeah, we did good because people are clapping. But the facilitator, yeah, they might get a clap, but did the people actually have a behavioral change? That is the real key. And I think that that's what the lecturer person actually wants as well. They want you to know the information. They want you to apply the information. They want you to be a new person, or they want you to stop smoking, or whatever the case may be. But they don't always give people the tools to do that. And the tools are all of those experiential learning, get the hands in the clay, doing the stuff. If they don't do the stuff, they can't remember how to do it by just being told. They have to actually get on the bike and ride. And now behavior has changed. If you just tell someone how to ride a bike going backwards, they just aren't going to be able to do it.
True. Wow, so that is amazing. Can we just give you a hand of applause? Thank you so much. That is amazing because like you rightly said, there are differences between facilitation and speaking, and we have seen that. You have practicalized it. So now the next time I go to speak, I can actually, collaborate some of these learnings into speaking, and it makes it, brings about behavioral change, right? So basically what you are saying is that the difference is just these other activities and the stages of learning that you incorporated into facilitation that makes it different from mere speaking, from mere brain dumping, right? That was the word you used. So I have come to learn from what you have said that if I can put in some group activities, if I can put in some involvement from my participants or make it interactive, then that would be success, right? So yeah, so that's important for everyone to know that you have to incorporate some of those things in order to make the learning to be more effective and efficient. Thank you.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah.
So, Penny, just tell us a bit about what you do outside teaching and facilitation and outside First Choice Facilitation. What do you do? What inspires you?
Yeah, well, Toastmasters, I'm still in Toastmasters. It's been about 6 years or so that I've been in Toastmasters, and it continues to challenge me, and that's why I stay. I would not actually say that I'm a speaker because I don't feel that I'm powerful in that way. I feel I'm stronger in being a facilitator, meaning that I can facilitate discussions and engage people, ask questions, set up fun little games and opportunities for learning. If I was to get up and do an inspiration for 20 minutes or do a keynote for half an hour or even 3 hours, I would not be happy. I would end up facilitating the discussion. Even if we're doing an interview, I want to start facilitating rather than just sit there. So that is more my style. Anyways, going back, Toastmasters just continues to keep challenging me. And especially during this time of transitioning to online, where else could I get the practice with no consequences of being fired from my job or whatever the case? Where could I get the practice to practice online with clubs, like when we meet every week, organize the leadership things for our club events? We're having a club contest this week. Like, where would I get the chance to do all of that? I think the people who are not involved with Toastmasters are currently missing out, especially in this transition, because where do you get to practice?
Wow. So Toastmaster gives you the platform to practice and to keep your mind sane, keep doing what you love to do. That's interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
What is a typical day for Penny like?
Right now, I have a contract teaching grade 4 online, and it is such a blast. Wow, I love it. Yeah, I'm working for a public school division, teaching grade 4 online. And what does that look like? I don't have all my 30 kids online at once. So it doesn't work like that. It's more homeschooling. So the parents are doing the bulk of the work at home with the students. And then when the students or the parents need help, they just call on me, whether that's through email or video calls like what we're doing here, or they send me a little quick message. We have the Teams platform, Microsoft Teams. So then they can actually call me, video call me, or send me a message. And it's so much fun because I feel like I'm in the classroom, because I have kids like, hey, Miss Nelson, I need help with this, or how do I do this? And they call me that way. I'm holding up a phone. It's not even a phone. It's a video call or a chat, and lots of emails too, back and forth with parents. It's such a blast. I am so grateful for grade 4s. They believe in life. They believe in themselves. They believe in everyone else. They're trusting and kind and wonderful. And I love reading their stories and their belief in the world. Like, they are amazing. I don't want to leave grade 4. Yeah. And then on the side, I'm doing some consulting in the evenings, weekends, or wherever else I can fit that with my current schedule. I recently did a contract with Open Door Society just on communication 101.
Okay.
Just the basics of communication. I have another one coming up on a larger global communication within an organization. So I'm keeping very busy, and I love doing my Tuesday takeaway videos, which is that Building Connections YouTube video. It's so much fun. I'm really growing. I have a lot to learn yet. I know I have lots to learn, but it's a blast. That's my day. All of that somehow fits in.
Interesting. You're keeping busy. That's the most important thing. And learning is part of life. We learn till the day we go to the grave. We started learning from the day we were born. Of course, a child, the first thing when he comes, he wants to eat. How does he know where to get the food? So it's part of learning instinctively. So we begin to learn from that moment till when we die. So learning is a lifelong thing. Everyone needs to have that in mind. We have to keep learning and improving ourselves. And I can tell you, you're doing a good thing with your YouTube channel. You're doing a good work there. Your facilitation company, you're doing a good work. And I know you're also doing a good work with the grade 4 kids. I have a daughter that is in grade 4, so I know what you're talking about. And I would like to say a very big thank you to you for pouring your heart to us and making it to this interview. Like, I know it's been a while since I saw you last. I have the privilege of seeing you again, and I am happy you made it. Thank you, and thank you again. So before you leave, what would you say to our viewers?
The most important thing is, I think, start to realize that the people that you are brain dumping to, let's say, or talking at, start thinking that maybe they have something to contribute to. That's my last message, because I think at the core, that's what I think. I think the participants like you out there, everyone who's watching, has something to contribute. I'd love to hear your comments. I'd love to get your feedback. I want to engage with you. And I want you to think about doing that with the folks that you're leading as well. Engage them, make them work. They want to do the work. They love it. So go for it. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure having you. And thanks for that final tip. So to our viewers, please leave a comment. Tell us what more you know regarding facilitation and speaking. Let's have your opinions. That matters much to us. And if you would like us to do another video that talks about any area that you think you want to learn more about, please leave it in the chat and we will be very glad to respond to that. And you all have a wonderful day. Bye for now, and thank you so much.